Okay, good evening, everyone. Let us go on with the session. So, Ritesh sir, can you hear us?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So, I'll just introduce, I'll just give you a brief about what the session is all about. Before that, welcome all of you. Have a pleasant good evening to all of you. And this session, this national online seminar on the topic professional ethics and HR values is organized by Ahalya Group of Academic Institutions, Palakkad. And let me just give you a brief about what Ahalya Group stands for and what is the motive behind this seminar. Ahalya Group of Academic Institutions is a part of Ahalya Health, Heritage and Knowledge Village, Palakkad, which is headquartered in UAE. We are one of the biggest business conglomerate which has staunch presence in healthcare and academics. Not only academics and healthcare, we are into media, we are into publishing, we are into alternate energy, and there are a lot of other verticals we are available in. So we are one of the biggest corporate groups in Kerala. And when it comes to this particular session, Ahalya stands for certain values and virtues. We believe in giving quality education and we believe in healthcare, good quality healthcare for all. So we also take it upon our shoulder that we need to give message about ethics and values to the young generation. So that is the reason, one of the reasons that this seminar was conceptualized. We feel that we all lack ethics. We always hear that there is no ethics, we lack ethics and all that stuff. But I really feel that it's not the lack of ethics what matters, it is the awareness of ethics that actually lack. I feel that it has not been informed to the students what is best for them and what is best for the society. That such an awareness is not given to them. We feel that such an awareness is very much important, and that is the reason we have brought in two great personalities. It is not there is no point in preaching about ethics and values. Ethics and values should be we have to see somebody practicing it so that we get inspired to practice ethics and values. So the people who we have brought here are great speakers who have also lived by these principles and they have climbed their ladders not by the virtue of these ethics and values that they have followed or they have practiced. So we feel that they are the right people who can give the younger generation the importance of ethics and values. So we have Mr. Ratish S., who is the former Chief Engineer of Kerala Water Authority, and Dr. Sadashiv Padi, who is the CHRO and Vice President, IT and HR of Kirloskar Pneumatics Company Limited. So these people will be giving us a brief about what are these values and how they have practiced this throughout their career. This is about the webinar, and I will just give you a brief about the Ahalya Group of Institutions that is present here, that is there in the business. We have I have played a small video which had shown all the Ahalya Group of Institutions. Uh, in this Palakkad campus, this is one of the serene and beautiful biodiverse campus. We have been fetching awards for a lot of pollution control boards award, water conservation award. So it's one of the biggest and beautiful campus in Kerala. I welcome all of you to visit once all these chaos is over. I welcome all of you to this campus and then have a good experience of how a corporate group can have such a beautiful eco-friendly campus. So now let us go on to the session. I welcome Ms. Swapna Radhakrishnan, student of Department of Civil Engineering, Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology, to introduce our first speaker to the audience. Swapna, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just give me a minute. Let me pin you to the screen. Yes, Swapna, you can go ahead, please.
Good evening to one and all present here. It's my privilege to introduce the guest of honor for the day, Mr. S. Ratish sir, for the National Seminar of Ahalya Group of Academic Institution.
With all due respect and with all of your permission, let me just introduce our first speaker to the audience. Mr. Ratish has done his MTech in structural engineering with first class from one of the reputed universities in Netherlands, and he has done his MTech in structural engineering with first class from NSS College Palakkad. And recently he has retired from Kerala Water Authority from the position of chief engineer. And during his tenure, he has implemented one of the reputed project called JICA, which is a Japanese funded project. He has completed that implementation successfully. And in addition to that, he has done many exposure visits inside and outside country. He has published various papers in national and international journals. And apart from all this, he has been a part of many professional bodies. He's associated with the World Bank, Netherlands, and UNICEF, DA, NDA for implementation of various joint development activities in the state. So we have a great personality who has practiced ethics throughout his life. So he will be giving us a brief about what professional ethics is and how he practiced it in his life. Thank you all for being with us, and thank you very much, Ratish sir, for being around and taken this time to speak to us and give us an understanding of it is okay to say no, and it is okay to practice what you really believe in without even being worried about the repercussions. So the session is all for you, sir. It is open to you. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Bindu, for the nice words of introduction. And good evening, all. Professor Dr. Mahadhavan Pillai, Director of Ahalya Institutions, and Principal, members of faculty, and my dear students. At the outset, let me thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this great initiative by Ahalya. It is indeed a pleasure for me to share my career experience with ethics, which may be of use for the young and budding engineers. So let me start the session with your permission. Share screen. Are you able to see my screen shared?
So I'm just checking, so just give me a minute. Yes, sir, we are able to see.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So professional ethics, my career experience. So today, during this session, I'll be covering these areas for your information. Meaning of morals, values, and ethics, because no discussion about ethics will be complete without any discussion on the morals and values. Why these are important in our life, situations you may have to handle in your career, and my career journey with ethics. This is the agenda today, and without wasting our time, let us proceed with the presentation. Morals or morality. Morals or morality is concerned with the principles of right and wrong in human behavior. I'm very sure that most of these fundamentals are well covered as a part of your syllabus. But for the sake of the background for the discussion, I'm just quickly presenting or running
I'm
through.
sorry to interrupt you, Ratish sir. We are able to see only a blank screen. The presentation is not visible, sir.
Also, thank you. I will set it right. Yeah, noted.
If you want me to support, I can. I have downloaded
Okay.
it.
Okay. Let me try once again. Otherwise, we will do like that. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Are you able to see now?
It's not come yet.
Oh, I see. Stop sharing. Is it visible now?
Yes. Yes, it's coming. Yes, sir. It's visible now.
Okay. Uh, okay. Morals or morality is concerned with the principles of right and wrong in human behavior. Mostly based on one's conscience, a thought, word, or action is considered to be morally good if it agrees with the general perception of what is right and what is wrong. Most of the moral principles are teachings of wise men, religious leaders, and accepted practice of the society. Morals of a particular society may be different from another society. There will be difference according to the time, place, religion, ideologies, etc. However, morals have always stood for goodness and it promotes acceptable behavior of individuals. So it's all about the right and wrong and it helps to have good behavior. And coming to values, a value is an enduring belief that influences our choices in life to promote well-being. Values are principle that reflects one's judgment of what is important in life. They'll help us promoting our well-being. Values are more concerned with what is morally right. Again, it has got a bearing on morals. Personal values may be different from individual to individual. Some values may have priority over the others depending upon the need level. So values are something what you imbibe by these morals, principles, and the goodness that you have seen around. So at the end of the day, you will be conceiving or imbibing certain good things from what you have heard, what you have seen, and what you have found to be good from the point of the goodness of the society. Ethics. The word ethics is derived from the Greek word ethos, which means character. Ethics is a set of code of conduct or moral principles with which behavior can be analyzed as good or bad, or right or wrong. It teaches well-being, well-disciplined behavior, and how to act according to the situations. Ethics is based on logic and reason. Often morals and values contribute to ethics. Therefore, we can state that moral plus value gives you ethics. So both morals and values are helping us to have an ethical life. Again, continuing with ethics. Ethics is a study of characteristics of morals. It is value driven, tells us what to do, fundamentally funded on the concern for other people. So these things are the key to ethics. I hope that all of you will be remembering from what you have learned earlier. And coming to engineering ethics, rules and standards governing conduct of engineers. How the engineer is conducting himself or discharging his duties. Then body of philosophy indicating the ways that engineers should conduct themselves in their professional capacity. So how they are going to behave or how they are going to discharge their duties are governed by the engineering ethics. So let us now ask a question, a larger question. Why study professional ethics at all? Because there were several notorious cases happening during a course of time. Achieved great attention because of all those things, led engineers to gain an increased sense of professional responsibilities. People started thinking that, okay, the engineers should be more responsible rather than creating any kind of course, they are creating the world and they're giving us all comfort and all. But at the same time, they should not do any damage to the society as well. So with such kind of notorious cases, people started thinking more about the responsibility of the engineers. Led to an awareness, these notorious cases led to an awareness of the importance of ethics, how engineers have far-reaching impact on the society. Whatever action the engineers are doing will definitely have an impact on the society, because the engineer's action is always for the society, and whatever he is doing, if it is doing good, it's good, and if it is doing bad, it can be quite damaging. Of course, you might have heard if a doctor is erring or is committing a mistake, then it can result in the death of a person. But if an engineer is making a mistake, it can kill hundreds or thousands. So such is the importance of the action of the engineer in the society. So definitely the engineer has to be careful. Of course, there can have some mistakes. Quite often, more than mistakes, sometimes their bad behavior or the lack of commitment or maybe lack of morality or values or ethics are leading to such kind of tragic situations. Let us take the few cases from the history itself. One example is from the Ford Pinto in 1978. One model, Ford introduced a new model car which was having a rear fuel tank, which was frequently exploding. When a small heat is happening from the back behind, the car was exploding. In fact, what they were trying, they were in a hurry to introduce this model ahead of the competitor, and since it has to be affordable and their sales has to be boosted up, they were actually compromising on the cost, on the safety part, by making it cost effective, so that they will be able to sell in volumes. So that led to this explosion, frequent explosion of the cars, and which brought a bad reputation to the company. Again, there I raise the question of ethics or ethics of the company and the engineers who have made this. When coming to India, the Bhopal gas tragedy, which is the Union Carbide in Bhopal, they had a plant there which was producing the pesticide, and this plant, there was a gas leakage, and it led to the killing of thousands of innocent people, and mainly because of the poor maintenance and the lack of training, and the safety backups for such kind of gas plants were as minimal as one, whereas in US they have 4-stage backup system for safety. But this was compromised, and this led to the killings of poor innocent people, and that has opened the eyes of many people about these kind of ethical behavior of the corporates and the people who are involved. Then, of course, there is shuttle Challenger. Again, the shuttle exploded shortly after takeoff. All on board, they died. The O-ring on a solid booster failed, got gases leaked, and blew up the liquid fuel tank. This was again, actually, the designers who have prepared this one has brought this flow behind before the management, but somehow they have a lot of pressure, political and otherwise, to launch the shuttle, space shuttle during that period, which led to the failure and the blowing up of this vehicle, which again brought into discussion the ethical issues connected to it, and again people started thinking about the behavior of engineers and ethics at large. And again, the Pentium microprocessor in 1994, it's having a defect, and initially the company denied. And next, they come up with the excuse that, okay, only in a few occasions such kind of calculation error is happening. But finally, they couldn't stand the public protest, and finally they have to replace the chips. So again, this is something again related to ethics. They couldn't stop releasing such kind of faulty chips to the society for the sake of maybe their profit or maybe competition from other competitors and all. Okay. So all this prompted the world over to think about ethics, and till that time there was ethics was not a topic for study the engineering. Even in my days also, ethics was never taught as a subject. We were largely learning this topic, or we were taught informally by the words and deeds of our parents, our teachers, our friends, relatives, or society at large with whom we were frequently interacting. So after all these incidents, people world over thought about these things, and they started introducing the topic for study. That is how you happen to study ethics as a formal subject in your syllabus. And nowadays, almost all the universities are having this topic as one of the subject of their study. Even I myself have taught this topic while I was working as head of the Department of Civil Engineering at Jodhi Engineering College for the last 5 years. From 2015 to 20, I was working there as head of the department after retirement. For a couple of years, I have taught this topic. And again, even though such topics are introduced as a part of the syllabus, I think that, and even it is taught also, it is taught as a regular subject, not as a subject which needs to be practiced. I have a strong feeling that this has to be taken up in more seriously, and it should be our way of life. Having said that, let us see what is happening in a highly literate state like Kerala. We discussed about the cases world over and even in Bhopal also. But let us see what is happening in Kerala. You are aware of all those things. What is the status in Kerala? The Plagiarism bridge, what is going on, you know, from the newspaper, and all these stories are known to you. And the Marriott flat, where the coastal regulation zone was violated, and who helped them to violate all those rules, and who has moved for such kind of things. So all those things are known to you, and finally it led to the court litigation and the demolition of those plans. But it poses a larger question of ethics and serious concern about such kind of things. The recent collapse of bridge under construction in North Kerala, near Kannur, there was a recent falling or collapse of the bridge under construction. Luckily, there was no casualty, but see, such kind of lapses. Why this is happening? There can be a lot of lapses or maybe lack of ethics from people who are involved behind this. Of course, they are coming up with a lot of defense, or media is giving so many pictures, but the fact is far beyond that. And collapse of several story buildings under construction. Sometimes these things are not coming in the media because these people are highly influential, so that this is not coming in the media, because the media is also having these ethical problems. Okay, you know what kind of news is finally you are getting through the media. Maybe you are directly knowing all those things. Then you will understand what is the difference between the truth and what is being presented. So such cases are not being brought to the notice of the society. And the poor construction and condition of the roads. How comfortable you are traveling on the roads of our place. What kind of comfort and what kind of investment is also going on. A lot of investment is going on, but in spite of all those things, there is poor construction and a lot of potholes, and the driving comfort or the safety is at stake always. So all those things are happening in a literary state like Kerala, wherein even the ethics is also taught as a part of the curriculum. So what does all those indicate? It means that we need to go beyond these kind of teaching and preaching, and we should come to the reality. So my question is there anything wrong with us? I feel that we need to be more concerned with ethical behavior of our children than usual, as we see the signs of deterioration in every walk of life, whether it is behavior, business, crime, or professional lapses. So we need to think seriously about that. So when I was invited to talk about this one to the students, I was more than happy to do that. Not that Dr. Mahadevan Pillai is my close friend, and of course, Dr. Bindu was always was associating with us for various things. I was more than happy to be with you to discuss this topic, which is so dear to my heart. Now, let us take the professional ethics. Professional ethics encompasses the personal and corporate standards of behavior expected of you. Professional ethics is concerned with one's behavior and conduct when carrying out professional work. It is codified and varies across different cultures. Professional ethics includes the ethical norms, values, and principles that guide a profession and the ethics of decisions made within the profession. So these are classical Would you like to deal with a third person with all these qualities, or just opposite? I would like to see your answer at least in the chat box. Okay. But for the positive of time, I'm not just searching on the chat box, but you can definitely respond. I'm very sure that you would like to have a deal or a relation with a person who is having all these qualities. So if you like all these qualities, why don't you try to be like that? You like all these qualities to be in others. In that case, you should also like to have all these qualities within you also. So the question is that rather than studying all these topics, you should see that, okay, all these things are part and parcel of your life and you're really practicing. And I'm very sure that by doing so, you will be enjoying the life more than anything. And you'll be proud, you'll be respectful, you'll be more acceptable to the society. So let us try to discuss a couple of them. I don't have the luxury of time to discuss all those things in detail. But the word by itself is sufficient to explain the importance of it. But I will discuss a couple of them for the sake of our discussion. Okay, honesty. Honesty refers to the facet of moral character and denotes positive, virtuous attributes such as integrity, truthfulness, and straightforwardness, along with the absence of lying, cheating, or theft. You can have the famous quote from William Shakespeare: honesty is the best policy. If I lose my honor, I lose myself. Such is the importance attached to honesty given by William Shakespeare. That is self-explanatory. Now, coming to integrity, integrity is a concept of consistency of actions. How consistent you are with your actions on values, methods, measures, principles, expectations, and outcomes. Integrity can be regarded as the opposite of hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, I'm very sure that many of you have seen and might not have appreciated that much. So integrity is just opposite of that. That it regards internal consistency as a virtue. The word integrity is derived from the Latin adjective integer, which means wholeness. Again, here is a famous quote from Samuel Johnson: integrity without knowledge is weak and useless. So without knowledge, integrity without knowledge. So one person can have integrity, but he is having no knowledge. It is weak and useless. And knowledge without integrity, if you have enough knowledge, but if you don't have integrity, it is dangerous and dreadful. And coming to transparency, transparency is something everybody wants to have see all around, whether it is from your teachers or from your institute or from your favorite shop or whatever. Okay, transparency is a general quality. It is implemented by a set of policies, practices, and procedures. It allows citizens to have accessibility, usability, utility, understandability, informativeness, and auditability of information and processes held by the centers of authority, society, or organizations. And there is a famous quote: a lack of transparency results in distrust and a deep sense of insecurity, by Dalai Lama. You might have seen that, okay, if your institution is not transparent in various dealings, you may not be happy. Okay, or your boss or teacher is not disclosing many things you ought to know. That kind of lack of transparency will create discomfort and distrust, and sometimes disloyalty also. Okay, so it's important that, okay, whatever which needs to be disclosed has to be disclosed, so that people know it's a transparent and a fair business that we are or treatment that we are getting. Of course, accountability, I don't want to discuss in detail about accountability. The word by itself is well said or well understood. Then confidentiality, again, confidentiality is something that people look for. Then objectivity, the clarity on objectivity, and the nobility on the objectivity is also very important. And respectfulness, of course, people respect gives a positive feeling of esteem for a person, and conduct representative of that esteem. So everybody wants to be respected, and you should also give respect and take respect. So definitely in your dealings or in your actions, that kind of respectfulness should be there. Obedience to law. Of course, if there is a law stipulated by the state or competent authority, we should be abide by such kind of law. And there is a famous quote by our father of nation: an unjust law is itself a species of violence. Arrest for it is breach, for its breach is more so. An unjust law itself is a species of violence. Arrest for it is breach is more so. Now let us come to the ethical theories. Again, these ethical theories, I don't want to go into details, but these different theories helps us to have a alternative solution for a given ethical problem. One is so that you can take the best solution out of that. So you are analyzing, just like our mathematical problem or scientific problem, you can rely on various theories to get it solved. Similarly, for ethical problems also, you can rely on various theories. And these theories helps us to have a different solution, or helps us to have a different way of looking at it. And finally, different solutions can be there, and you can take the best alternative. That is the use of these kind of theories behind this. One is utilitarianism, second is right ethics, and third is duty ethics and virtue ethics. Utilitarianism talks about it's based on the final outcome or the consequences. It's based on the philosophy of maximum good for the greatest number of people. Goes by the majority good to the majority. Positive and negative results are weighed. Okay, the positives are good, then you are going for this kind of decision. Okay, then utilitarianism has offered us the risk benefit analysis and the cost benefit analysis, but sometimes it has got limitation. Difficult to weigh matters on this basis, because some of these consequences or outcome may not be tangible. In that case, you find it difficult to evaluate this one. So utilitarianism has got its own benefit. Unable to justify between morally justified and morally unjustified emotions. Then the right ethics, it is more concerned about the rights and dignity of the individuals, the right of a citizen, right of a person. All those things are considered, or the privacy or integrity of the individuals are considered. So it is right ethics based on the rights of the people. Then comes the virtue ethics. What kind of people we should be? Ideally, what kind of person you should be? Virtue ethics is a person rather than action based. It's based on the person. So, like this, we have got the duty ethics also. This was proposed by Immanuel Kant. Explains that an action is moral if it is conducted for the sake of a duty. By acting out of duty, a person acts out of concern for what is morally right. So this is duty ethics. So four theories helps us to have alternative solutions, and we can take the best solution for an ethical problem that we may be facing at any point of our life. Then what are ethical problems? Okay, let us have a look. A problem or a situation that requires a person or an organization to choose between alternatives that must be evaluated as right, that is ethical, or wrong, unethical. So that is a problem, whether it is ethical right or wrong. You have to decide. Unethical practices can take place at every phase of a construction project, during the planning and design stage, maybe pre-qualification and tender, project execution, and operation maintenance. I'm just going to focus a couple of minutes on the construction industry, but don't worry too much about that. See, I'm going to list the ethical problems in the construction industry. These 3 points: cover pricing, bid cutting, bid shopping. All those things are related to the tendering. Normally, the works from a big organization or even the departments or companies are organized based on the tender, because they want the professional people to come forward and take up the job. So when they are tendering, all those practices are covered. Cover pricing or bid cutting, all those things are, you are disclosing the information to the potential contractors, or you are actually maybe manipulating the offer made, or the bid documents. For example, poor documentation. Poor documentation means there is ambiguity in the documents, which can be interpreted in any way, sometimes in favor of a person who is more influential or offering money. Late and short payments, which is quite understood. The payment is delayed if somebody is not offering money, or it is made short, or there is cutting in the payments made for maybe taking money or excusing the contractor or whatever. Then subcontractors lack of safety on ethics. The contract is given to a particular party, and he may be subcontracting, and that person may be compromising on the safety. Then unfair treatment of contractors in tender, final account, then competitors overstatement of capacity. All those things are related to the construction industry in one way or other. You may be finding it, or sometimes somebody can be a victim of that. Codes of ethics. Codes of ethics are documents which are well written, a written set of guidelines issued by an organization to its members, workers, and management, or a professional body to its members to help them conduct their actions. Helps to perform their roles, to know how to conduct and to know how to resolve certain ethical issues, offers guidance in applying moral and ethical principles to the situation encountered. You know all about your morals, values, and all those things, but don't know how to apply this in a particular situation. Okay, in that case, the code of ethics will be a guide for you to proceed. It provides framework for ethical judgment, expresses commitment to the ethical conduct, defines the roles and responsibilities of the professionals, helps professionals to evaluate the ethical aspect of their decisions. Compliance-based code of ethics. Sometimes the code of ethics are compliance-based. If you are complying with that, well and good. If you are not, then you are penalized. So compliance-based code of ethics not only set guidelines for conduct, but also determine penalties for violations. If somebody is violating, then he may be sometimes expelled from the professional body. For example, Institute of Engineers, you are supposed to follow the code of ethics once you are a member of that society. And if you are violating that, and if that complaint goes to these Institute of Engineers, then they are supposed to take action against you. Sometimes it may result in cancellation of your membership or other kind of penalties. Value-based code of ethics require a greater degree of self-regulation than compliance-based codes. So compliance-based codes and value-based codes are there in existence, but they require a greater, the second one, the value-based code of ethics, require a greater degree of self-regulation. You need to be self-motivated. Whereas in the compliance-based code, if you are violating, then you are punishable. So that makes you or force you to be more ethical. Then who are the persons or the bodies who are introducing this code of ethics? They are the professional bodies. Okay, professional bodies are organizations who are members, whose members are individual professionals. It can be AIMA like organization, or institution of engineers, or ICA, Indian Concrete Institute, or any other IST or whatever. Okay, this is related how the profession is regulated. Who is responsible for making sure that professionals are doing their jobs properly? So these professional bodies are taking care of that, whether our professionals are doing their job properly or not. Role of the professional bodies, it gives you a better idea. Set and assess professional examinations, provide support for continuing professional development through learning opportunities and tools for recording and planning, publish professional journals or magazines, provide networks for professionals to meet and discuss the field of expertise, issue code of conduct to guide professional behavior, deal with compliance against professionals and implement disciplinary procedures, fair access to the profession so that people from all backgrounds can become professionals, fair career support and opportunities for students and graduates and working in that area. There are several codes of ethics, and I'm just taking a couple of them to give you a taste. This is from NSPE, National Society of Professional Engineers from US. They normally, all these codes of ethics normally contains a preamble and the responsibilities of the members. Okay, here in the NSPE actually have the preamble wherein they say that, okay, engineering is an important and a learned profession, expected to exhibit the highest standards of honesty and integrity, direct and vital impact on the quality of life for all people. So these are the kind of preamble they have given. Then they have the fundamental canons wherein they say that, okay, engineers in the fulfillment of their professional responsibilities or duties shall hold paramount the safety, health and welfare of the public, perform services only in areas of their competence, issue public statements only in objective and truthful manner, act for each employer or client as faithful agents or trustees, avoid deceptive acts. So all those things are fundamental canons given by them. Then of course the rules of practice, engineers shall, okay, then the professional obligations, engineers shall be guided in all their relations by the highest standards of honesty and integrity. Engineers shall at all times strive to serve the public interest. Engineers shall avoid all contact or practice that deceives the public. So now you have a taste of these kind of code of ethics. Similarly, then their professional obligations are also enlisted at large. Then coming to the Institution of Engineers, IEI, Institute of Engineers India, Code of Ethics for corporate members. Like the NSPE, they also have a preamble. It says that the corporate members of the Institute of Engineers India are committed to promote and practice the profession of engineering for the common good of the community, bearing in mind the following concerns. Okay, concern for ethical standard, concern for social justice, all those things. So preamble of all these codes are more or less talking about the same thing. Then for the Indian code, the second section is on the tenets of the code of ethics. Again, they say more or less same thing as the obligations or responsibilities. A corporate member shall utilize his knowledge and expertise for the welfare, health, and safety of the community without any discrimination for sectional or private interest. A corporate member shall maintain the honor, integrity, and dignity in all his professional actions to be worthy of the trust of the community and the profession. So these are the code of ethics given by various organizations. Now let us come to the area which you may be mainly interested. Professional journey and ethical problems one may be coming across. Okay. So normally when an engineer or a person is appointed, he can get posting in various divisions or various stages or various wings of an organization. For example, sometimes somebody may be posted in planning, somebody may be in the design, somebody may be in the tendering, and sometimes a person can be in a project implementation, and otherwise he can be in the operation and maintenance, or another set of people can be in the HR wherein they are taking care of the transfer and postings or such kind of things. Okay, what kind of ethical problems you may be facing, and how do you handle that? That is something which may be of interest to you. And let us take the case of planning, for example. For example, you are responsible for planning. you are responsible for planning to find an alignment of a route where two cities are connected. So there are some fundamental principles by which you are doing this. For example, in the road alignment, there are certain basic requirements. For example, it should be short. You're always interested to see that, okay, they are quickly, these 2 points are quickly and easily connected. Then it should be easy, then it should be safe, then economical. And at the same time, there are some factors which are controlling the alignment. For example, sometimes there are points which through which it should not pass. For example, there is a sanctuary in between or a reserve forest in between. Then you cannot take it straight away. You cannot take the alignment through that crossing that. So you may have to avoid that. That means you have a constraint to avoid that point. Sometimes the other way also can happen. Sometimes you have to pass through a point where this needs to be connected. For example, the ideal location for a bridge may not be in the straight path. The bridge at this point can be dangerous or maybe can be expensive. Then you may be slightly deviating so that the bridge site is most safe and appropriate or economical. Or sometimes it can be for some other reason. As I told you, there is a small town where people are poor and deprived and they don't have any access to the communication network. And it may be offering a lot of land and that can create a lot of development there. Then maybe we may have to take it through that point so that that area is also developed. So there are constraints which are positive and negative. So such are the things that you are looking at when you are planning. But in spite of that, sometimes what is happening is you are influenced by people who may be having a large landhold in a particular location. And if you're taking the highway around that property or along that property, then the value of that land goes like anything. So he's immensely benefited. So that person can maybe sometimes influence the politician or your senior officers or anybody. But as a person who are having the value and ethics, maybe sometimes you're a junior also. Don't think that, okay, say as junior, my voice will not be heard. But as a young professional, you can straight away document all the points with all the supporting points and say that, okay, this is the way that it should be done. Sometimes your immediate boss may be influenced and he may be overruling. But maybe a couple of levels higher, there may be one person who is really serious about such kind of things and who is honest and who is ethically upright. Then I have experienced that, okay, sometimes that happens. Okay, of course, I had the bad experience also. But that should not stop you from writing your personal, convinced, professional, ethical points on the file. Okay, don't think that, okay, what can a small person like me do? Always think that, okay, a person like me also can make changes. And let me ask you one question also. See, in your personal life, leave alone ethics. Is that, okay, everything that you desire is happening the way that you want to do? And in that case, are you silent always? You express your desire or intention, but sometimes it may not happen. But giving so, what happens is if you are raising such kind of points, I told you that a number of times I was successful, and number of times I've seen that, okay, with weeping eyes or with tears in my eyes, I have to see that some of the things are done the other way around. Okay, but looking back, I have documented everything on the file, and later on, I was so happy to hear that, okay, people, juniors coming to me and saying that, sir, we have gone through your writings in your file, and that has prompted us to express our points on the file, and that is a great relief. We were actually having a lot of confusion, and we were sad what to do and what not to do, and that has helped us a lot. See, then once you are doing such kind of things, that may be a model to others to follow. And gradually, the population or the number of people who are doing such kind of things may be coming higher and higher, which can create a larger change. Similarly, in the case of a design also, see, generally, if you go to a consultant for a construction of a building or such kind of things, what is happening? He may be trying to boost the estimate because his consultancy fee is based on the percentage. If he's giving a big amount, then again he will be able to have a higher consultancy fee. In the case, you will be prompted to go for such wrong designs. But as a young designer, you should always put up your ideas and see that, okay, such kind of things are properly justified. Sometimes you may be wrong. Fine. Let the seniors and others people correct you if you are wrong. So be honest, be bold enough to say that. And by doing such mistakes also, you are learning. So don't hesitate to write or document all those things. I've seen a number of designs which are proposed suboptimal rather than optimal, based on such lack of ethics coming from the side of these. Similarly, on tendering also, sometimes the details are discussed, and in project implementation, people are compromising. And again, the operation maintenance, sometimes the operation maintenance are not done and the bills are written and the payment is taken. And sometimes because of the lack of maintenance, people are falling into accident, and maybe sometimes lives are lost. You might have heard about such kind of things, but for a few penny, sometimes people are doing that, and finally at the cost of innocent life. So all those things are situations where in you have choice to make, ethical or non-ethical. So always stand by, with all your values, morals, and ethics. Stand by this one. As I told you, sometimes it may not be successful. Doesn't matter, but that gives you an opportunity, and you can have your self-respect and honor, saying that, okay, I expressed my point, but unfortunately that didn't happen. That doesn't matter. Okay. Then transfer and postings also. Sometimes what is happening is you are in the powers, and then you are having few posting coming from the employment exchange or anything, and immediately then there will be call coming from either from the politicians or from your seniors about this one. And if you are going by that, what happens? You are ignoring merit. And what will be the result? If you are not getting a meritorious person or a good person, then your office work may be compromising. Sometimes you are analyzing samples with a pesticide or maybe poisonous material, a chemist. What happened? That fellow may not be knowing all those things. I may be saying that, okay, there is no pesticide in this, or there is no poison in that, in water. What happens to poor people who are drinking? And what happens to the competent people? These people may be known to the other person who has lost a job, who is less competent. The other person may be a rank holder. Then you will be knowing what kind of person who has been selected. This creates the loss of faith in the system, and even in that office, and even in you also. So in such kind of transparent postings also, you need to be very, very careful. So there are opportunities, only things that you should be upright in expressing all those kind of things boldly. Nobody is going to kill you for such kind of things. But there are something which may be happening, as I'll be indicating all those things in my experience. Probably this will be the last but one slide, and professional ethics, my career experience. Fortunate to have good parents, teachers, colleagues, and friends who help me to have good morals and values and character, and to do ethically right things. I mean, now also I am so proud that my wife is also equally supporting, so that I can continue with my journey with ethics. Let me express my sincere thanks to all of them at this moment. I thankfully remember each one of them. There were challenges, but those values helped me to hold on till my retirement and beyond. Sometimes either politicians or colleagues will try to lure you or threaten you. But if you are strong on your stand, worse come worse, they may get you transferred to remote stations or to so-called insignificant position. But be proud, you are preserving your self-respect and value. By getting posted in different places, you know different people, places, and culture, which will add value to your personal and professional life. Further, no position in government job is insignificant. There are enough job to do if you are committed. It gives you an opportunity to do things differently. See, if you are posted in a totally different position, sometimes people may think it is insignificant. I will give you a couple of examples where I have been posted. For example, water quality monitoring. Okay, I was posted in water quality monitoring, wherein okay, people generally feel that okay, you don't have that glamour. There are no contractors. There are no much people coming, no leaders coming and meeting you, and all those things. But as I rightly said, that gives you an opportunity to do things differently. There were a lot of things done there, but they were suboptimal. There were a lot of things to be improved. There are a lot of things to be done. They have to be more systematic. They have to be more optimized. There, I was able to introduce a lot of things which help to optimize the cost and to bring credibility to that office and making the people working there more proud. In fact, I myself was so happy working there because a lot of people were coming to my office and to me personally to discuss about the various water quality problems that they were facing, what kind of solutions that they should do. They have source, but that water is polluted. What to do? Should I abandon that or do something else? And if you are able to do the analysis and help them out, then the gratitude that on their face makes you so proud and happy. Okay. Likewise, such kind of postings are always opportunities for you to do things differently. Okay. Again, I was again because of sometimes I may not be agreeing to whatever the politicians are saying. So every now and then I am getting transfer, and I was fortunate to work in all the districts of Kerala. That too in relatively all different and maybe sometimes insignificant stations also, wherein I was able to contribute my best. Okay, for example, the IS, institutional strengthening. Water Authority wants to make a lot of changes, and one of the issue was the resistance from the union leaders and all. So the management created an institutional strengthening unit, and there were not much people willing to work there because they always have to confront the union leaders and convince them and make things happen. And okay, since there was nobody, and there was one fellow who is not always in the good books of the politicians, I was transferred from Tellicherry to Trivandrum to take care of the institutional strengthening. Okay, I happily went there. I started going through the documents and what is my role and responsibility, and then started discussing with all these union leaders and all those things. By then, because of my credibility and reputation, these union leaders were happy to come and discuss with me. And again, with all this support from these union leaders and my own old past history of working with honesty and credibility, the management was also accepting me, my suggestions. So the union leaders were also happy to disclose all those intentions to me, and then I was able to present before them. Then certain things, of course, the union leaders were not happy to implement. Then I took all these people to different water utilities of India, including Bombay, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and then Chennai, all those places, and convinced them what good things are that they are doing, with all support from the union leaders. Then gradually they were convinced, and then they were accepting some of the suggestions for the benefit of the water authority. For example, the Blue Brigade in Trivandrum, if you happen to hear about the Blue Brigade in Trivandrum, this was introduced after our discussion and industrial visit to these institutions. Blue Brigade is something of a maintenance team from the water authority side. For example, we have got maintenance team. They are contractors. Sometimes what is happening is these maintenance complaint, if they are informed to the contractors, he may not be going there and doing that immediately. He will wait for a couple of days or weeks to see that, okay, there are a sufficient number of leaks for him to take a team and do that, so that it is economically viable for him. To counteract this one, we introduce the Blue Brigade. If that fellow is not doing that repair, then this will be done by the departmental Blue Brigade, and the cost will be recovered with some penalty from this contractor. This made a lot of changes, and the contractors started doing this work promptly. Then again, IPD means investigation, planning, and design. There are also similar success stories are there. Okay, you can do a lot of good things being a government servant. Don't think that, okay, your hands are tied always, but it's possible that you can do a lot of good things. The initial days of your career will be less challenging, and you climb the ladder. As you climb the ladder, it becomes more and more challenging with more powers in your hand. Once you are able to send the right message about your character and value, right from day one onwards, it makes things easy. Gradually, the message will reach the contractors and politicians and colleagues, and they may not approach you for wrong things. That makes your life very, very simple. Be honest right from the beginning to the end. You will be of value to the society, respected, acceptable, and happier in life. See, with all these qualities, you will be more and more acceptable, respected, and happier in life. You feel that, okay, you are of value for at least a few people or to the society at large. That makes you happy. That keeps you going. Okay, I have retired from Kerala Water in 2015, and 5 years down the line, I can walk into any water authority office, and there are at least few smiling faces there to accept me, which makes me so happy and contented. Okay, that's all what I have to say. And let me conclude with this message to you. Have a wonderful life ahead with ethics and be of value to the society. Be happier and respectful. All the best. Thank you. I leave here, and if at all any questions are there and time permits, I can try to answer whatever way I can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ratish sir, for this wonderful session. You have actually given us a basics of what are the virtues which can make us an ethical person. Thank you very much. I would, since we are running short of time, we would want to start off with the next session now, and then the question and answer session can be together after the session. So will that be okay, sir?
That's fine. No issue at all.
So we would want you to stay throughout the session. This is the trick actually to make you stay in the session.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So I would request all the participants to keep all your questions for Ratish sir saved. So in the end of the second session, we can have a Q&A session open to all the participants. And now I welcome Mr. Ajmal Farhan, the student of Department of Mechanical Engineering, Ahilya School of Engineering and Technology, to introduce our second speaker to the audience. Please come.
Thank you, ma'am. A warm good evening to all the participants present here. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's with great pleasure that I introduce our distinguished guest, Dr. Sadashiv Pari sir, to you. Currently, he's the CHRO and Vice President for HR and IT in Kirloskar Pneumatics Company Limited. He was Director, HR and OD and Country HR Head for Vishay Components Private Limited, formerly known as Philips India. He was instrumental in transforming the HR culture in this organization at par with any other global MNCs. Dr. Pari is the convener of Confederation of Indian Industry HR and IR panel, member of Corporate Advisory Board for top 7 university in India, and also the council member of Pune Productivity and Development Council. In addition to these accomplishments, he was awarded with CII HR Excellence Award for national level competition. He had done MBA from Kurukshetra University, and his PhD was in the area of organization development and cultural organization at Dr. D.Y. Patil Global Business School in Pune. It's an honor to have you amongst us, sir. We are grateful to you to spare your valuable time with us, to share your knowledge and thoughts with us. On behalf of Ahilya School of Engineering and Technology and Ahilya School of Management, I welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And now the stage is all yours, Padi sir.
Thank you so much. I'll Honorable Dr. V.S. Gopal, Chairman earlier Health, Heritage and Knowledge Village, as your beautiful campus is known as. Dr. Mahadevan Pillai, Director Academics, on whose initiative the online lessons for the freshers have started. Ms. Bindu, the event coordinator of this national online seminar. I thank you so much for giving the opportunity. And of course, my old colleague and friend, Mr. Srikumar, who is our HR manager, and on whose demand, actually, I agreed immediately for the seminar. And I've been a close friend of his for the last 27 years. We worked together earlier in National Dairy Development Board under Dr. Varghese Kurian's leadership. Guests and my dear students, I'm aware of the fact that the event can be quite interesting only when I describe my experiences and some good examples. But I'm really amazed, I'm really very surprised and touched by Mr. Ritesh's excellent example from his own career. This is such a difficult topic about ethics. I listened to Dr. Ritesh from beginning every word. I think so much of sincerity, so much of honesty within him. I can smell. The honesty, sincerity, values are like fragrance. I always say that. Fragrance, when you spray a fragrance on your clothes, you don't have to tell people that you've sprayed a fragrance. People can smell it. So the way Mr. Ritesh described everything, I could feel the smell. It was so fragrant. And look, sitting at Pune in my office, I can really imagine what Mr. Ritesh really explained so very well about ethics. I thank you, Mr. for this beautiful lecture, beautiful compilation of examples. I'll try to do similar things about the values that I'm going to speak about. Ethics and values go hand in hand. They are the same coin, only two sides. And for the students, I am aware also the fact that the students are in majority number, almost I can see 230 students. I want to say to the students a very, very good evening. But my students, I can imagine, you can't speak back to me wishing the same like a classroom. If had I been in a classroom, I wished you good evening. So always the students, all the students at the same time say, good evening, sir, how are you, etc., etc. But I'm speaking to screen. And you all are listening, you have been muted probably. So maybe in chat box, you can say, okay, thank you so much. But my dear students, I'm probably, I'm really quite touched about your beautiful campus and about the kind of curriculum, the course curriculum. And I have not forgotten my own life as a student. Studentship is the most beautiful time, but also I'm aware of the fact that all of you are, maybe the final year students are bothered about their placement. Placement is one thing that, which always bothers you. We as a student look for a job, but very few students look for a career. So I'm going to describe to you what is the difference between job and a career. Job is something what you really do for earning, but a career is something which you listen to your heart, your passion, and you take the passion as your job. That is career. So for the next 40 minutes, I'll be speak on the HR values and the new normal in talent development and high tech and high touch. So very simple words and nothing to be really be carried away by the words. I'll be using a PPT file to communicate to you more clearly about what I'm going to speak. So maybe, and you don't need to really take down notes. These are very simple examples which in my career, I have read a few books and gathered them. And toward the end, I'll simply take your questions, and it depends upon you how many questions you ask. So that do you want to stay till 6 p.m. or that way, or beyond 6 p.m. Depend upon the number of questions you ask us, me and Mr. Ritesh. So I'll talk about the HR values. The human values. I shall describe a very learning story, a crisp story, a learning story, which I personally like a lot. the story of a Chinese prince, and you can very well relate the story to your own personal life and understand the deeper meaning in it. I'll share my screen now, and you'll be watching my slides very soon. But please preserve your questions. Please keep down your questions, and I know, and you'll be ready with the different queries that bothers you first. Maybe about your career, about your job, whatever it is. Like, you can always share. So I'm sharing my screen. Yeah. You're able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. I'll take around 3-4 minutes about this story, which is very learning. And there was a Chinese prince many years back, large kingdom in China. He was very strong. He was very young. He was arrogantly very competent, and he was very infamously very audacious. You know, the audacious, very audacious person. And also, like, he was restlessly aspirant. He wanted to grow in life. He wanted to do something different than others that could do. And he wanted to rule the kingdom. And he was very restless for that. And he was, of course, the most feared royal prince of the kingdom. So what happened? The prince was so eager to rule the country. He told his father, the emperor, to allow him to rule. And the father was knowing about his qualities, about his competencies. And believe me, just if I can say to you humorously, he was doing an MBA, or he was a BTech engineer and doing an MBA. And hence, he wanted to take a very good job, and he wanted to grow. Then the emperor asked the prince to get a certificate from the monk, from the old monk who was staying inside the jungle. And the certificate was for declaring the prince as competent to rule the kingdom. So the prince found it very easy, and he started the journey to meet the old monk inside the forest. That time, when he reached the forest, there was a notice board outside the gate of the forest asking him to walk down alone. And the prince walked down, and he stayed there for 21 days on the instructions of the monk, of the old monk, who asked him to stay for 21 days there to meditate and to realize. He discovered himself. The prince discovered himself at the end of the 21 days of meditation. And then, you know what happened to him? He became a very wiser person. He was very mystic, and he was wiser. He was visibly kind and compassionate. He earned the confidence to even listen to the sound of silence. You know, when you can ask yourself, what is the sound of silence? Can you listen to the sound of silence? Unless we grow, unless within, and unless we really discover ourselves, these kind of things are not so easy. It is very difficult. So after the 21 days of the good meditation inside the jungle, under the guidance of the old monk, the Chinese prince discovered himself. And he wanted to stay there inside the jungle with the old monk for many more months. His restlessness, his arrogance, his audacity, and his image of a feared royal prince was vanished. He became a really kind and compassionate ruler, a servant of the kingdom. The prince realized that he was the servant of the kingdom. He was no more with the authority, no more with the arrogance, no more with the audacity, and he wanted to really become a ruler, the servant of the people. So, what does it all say about this small story? You can find, you can Google it out. The story is very beautiful, quite a bit of learning from there. The story speaks about how to discover oneself. We as a student, or even as a manager in the corporate, which we are going to soon be a manager in the corporate world, we must know what we don't know. We must discover ourselves first. This is the very basis of the values of somebody's life. And let's go to the modern, to understand the deeper meaning of the values of life. We can relate the story to ourselves. Are we doing enough to discover ourselves? Are we doing enough to understand what we don't know? All these things we need to take the initiative. I'll speak to you again on how we relate to ourselves. The next slide is that are we finding the inner talent and inner intellect and inner confidence within us? As a student, am I doing enough to grow beyond my course curriculum, beyond my other studies? Am I finding time and the mind to discover my inner talent, inner intellect, and inner confidence? Please ask yourself these questions. They're very important. When you look for a career, then I think these are very important to have a talent which is different than others, an intellect which is different than others, and a confidence which is different than others. In this crowded world, in a fierce competition, when the companies, corporate come to the campus for recruitment, what do they look for? They look for a very confident, intellectual talent. Be it course matter or be it be any other topic. They want these kind of qualities. And second important thing is that don't depend upon anybody's guidance further. You are a young gentleman, young lady who are really need to be proactive. You can be proactive on your own. Don't wait to be instructed by somebody. As a student or as a manager, when you join a corporate as a manager, please don't wait for being instructed by somebody. Take your own initiative, be proactive, and then then you can gel with the culture there. People will always award and reward people who are proactive and take their own initiatives. Also, what I told earlier, please try to know what you don't know. If any kind of a complacency, if you become complacent, as if I'm omniscient, I'm omnipotent, things don't work. Younger generations are becoming more and more knowledgeable. Look at your smaller or younger brothers and sisters in family, at your own home. They're smarter. Younger child at home knows how to operate a smartphone. Even a child at the age of 4 or 5, the child knows how to operate YouTube, how to operate Facebook. So the younger generations are coming up much smarter, much better intellectuals. So you must know, be concurrent, be contemporary, and you must know what you don't know. All these advices, actually, I'm going to relate to the further slides. That I'm not trying to really teaching you anything, as Ms. Bindu told at the beginning. We practice something, and from our examples, we try to share things what probably would have been better had we been practicing those things earlier in our career. So it is our duty to tell our younger people, students like you, to really learn from our mistakes, learn from our past, and be proactive, be better confident, and you must know what you don't know. Also, synergize and complement the qualities of each other. As a student, probably you are competing with other fellow students, but the study circles, if some of you study together, bring that synergy, the learning is better always. So similarly in the corporate world, also the same thing. You're not competing with many people in corporate. You're better, you synergize, you complement the qualities of other colleagues of yours, and you can do wonders there. I'm repeating what I told, choose your passion as your career. Certainly, I understand your dilemma. Certainly, I understand the difficult times pandemic brought into us about finding a good job. We invest so many years, 4.5 years almost for a BTech degree and almost like 2 years for an MBA degree. So many courses that your university, such an esteemed university, is offering. So we're really concerned about a job. But how many of you are really thinking about your passion as a career? This pandemic has brought in different kind of things. Like, I can tell you one example. I was speaking to someone yesterday. This gentleman told me that loss of job or not getting a job actually promote self-employment. It happened in the world in 1928. 1928, if you Google it out, was a huge pandemic globally. Millions of people died. The economy hit its rock bottom. There is no job available globally anywhere. And at that time, many people who started their startups, they initiated proactively their own business. They became some of the richest people in the world. And so I'm not trying to say, but there is a lot of silver lining. Believe me, in the financial sector now, there is a growth of jobs by 120%. Automobiles have now, which are really, we're listening to some other things before the pandemic, that the auto business probably will go down, but now it's picked up very fast. People want to have their own car or own vehicle to travel. They are not depending further on a community transport like the other. If I was traveling with a city bus, I'll prefer to travel in my own car now. So the auto industry is picked up. So auto industry is one of the mother industry in the country. And if auto industry grow, other industries will grow. So my request to you is that be confident and please wait for the right time at the right place to get your right career break. Jobs will always be available to you. It's a matter of only a few months' time, but getting good career break is also should be your passion. If I know many people who have liked music, they, in spite of becoming an engineer, they became very good musicians. And you have seen many movies on such a topic in the past. A lot of movies came up around a few years back on the same topic. But I'm trying to request and prompt you to choose your passion as your career. And importantly, excel in whatever you choose to do. Many of you know Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, one of the most known, reputed president of the United States, he had told once that they were very, very poor and their family was not finding even 2 square meals a day. But Abraham Lincoln's mother had always been telling him, she was always saying that whatever you do, if you want to do anything, please try to excel in that. If you want to become a gardener, be the best gardener in the world. If you want to become a janitor, please try to become the best janitor in the world. If you want to become an engineer, please become the best engineer in the world. So the mother, Abraham Lincoln, set a standard for him. Also, I'll give an example from the US. You know, when the George Bush the senior George Bush came to one of the schools, the boy who went up to the stage to offer him a bouquet, and George Bush, the president of the United States of America, asked the boy, how do you feel shaking hands with the president of from the country of America? How do you feel shaking hands with the president of USA? The young boy, maybe around that time, 12 years old, you might have heard this example. The young boy told, the future president of the USA is shaking hands with the present president of the USA. And you know, the young boy was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton went up to the stage to shake hands and offer a bouquet to George Bush Sr. And after a few decades, Bill Clinton became the president of the USA. So what I'm trying to make a point here, think high, aim high. If you aim for the moon, You may not get one, but you will not fall among the any other thing other than stars. Aim for the moon, and chances are that you may fall among the stars. So choose a career. Jobs will be behind you. So please try to take this from myself, my learning. I always like to say to students like this. So excel in whatever you choose to do. And job or career is not a life and threat. There are many things. Many students now these days in the country are coming up with the startups. So, okay, this slide was important for me. I have got around 25 minutes left. I want to quote here, if you know Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek, if you Google out, is one of the best author and orator in the world today. Simon Sinek says, imagine a world in which the vast majority of us wake up inspired, feel safe at work, and return home fulfilled at the end of the day. Such a beautiful world. And it was just a statement only before the pandemic, and things changed still, but the sentence, the meaning, deep-rooted meaning never changed. We will now as well, we imagine a world in which the vast majority of the population of the world should wake up inspired, feel safe, and return home fulfilled in the end of the day. So I'd like to also take you through some of my concepts. These are some of the concepts which I believe in about the values. See, in the corporate world, we believe in three things: three P, people, planet, and profit. We know this thing, very, very simple thing. Also, the world has become very hyper-connected. I'm sure each one of you you have more than one phone. It may be one smartphone, one laptop, one iPad, many electronic gadgets. So the world is hyper-connected. I'm speaking to you to almost more than 230 students and guests here from my city, from Pune, from my office. I'm speaking to screen. I'm connected to all of you, and we're very hyper-connected. AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, ML, machine learning, VR, virtual reality, and AR, augmented reality, have taken us already to different orbit. Robots, bots, and chatbots are our friends in need. With so much connectivity, human beings are really becoming more like machine. I'll tell you how. Imagine the evolution of the Earth in last 24 hours only. Just a very hypothetically talking to you. Imagine the evolution of Earth in last 24 hours, as if it is only 24 hours that the Earth has evolved. Then all the modern days inventions have happened in just last 10 minutes. So you Google, what I'm saying, you can search the best of the inventions of the world has happened in last 150 years, 150 years only. And that is speed of time. And what are the best of the inventions you can imagine? The best of the inventions are, if you again search, Google it out, and technologies, the technologies, be the technology be engineering, be the technology be health and medical, be the technology be space, computer, and many more similar ones. All the things have happened in last 150 years only. And when since the Earth is born, billions of years back. So the speed of time is very, very different. And I'll tell you I'll just name what are the inventions. Some of the inventions what we can relate are the airplane, steam engine, submarine, automobile, pharmacy, electricity, cinema, that is photography, telegraphy, computers, and of course our dear telephone. These are all the best inventions in the world which has happened in the last 150 years. So what I'm trying to make a point here is that if you want to you want to really introspect, then you are left with very, very less time in our job and career. You have to become a lot of speed. I'll relate with an example again here. The one of the example about speed and your initiative. Have you all seen? I think all of us we have seen ducks flying in a V shape of V. You see ducks. These birds they fly usually in a shape of V, and when they fly in sky, if you want to kill one bird, shoot down one bird by using a pistol or a gun, then invariably the birds change their direction and they fly away. You may not be able to kill or bring down a duck flying in the shape of V. They take the initiative and they decide to change the leader and they change the direction and they fly away in a moment. It takes 1/70th of 1 second. 70th. It is a microsecond. They decide who is going to be next leader and they change the direction and they fly away. So the speed, we don't ever try to think that you can procrastinate things. Never ever procrastinate. You want to become successful in life with good values, please do it now. Please don't look for tomorrow and after tomorrow to decide your plan. Please finalize fast. And then this is the speed of time. For the positive time, I'm not talking about the example of Rhinoceros. Rhinoceros was actually a huge animal that the size of a small hill. It'll become an extinct because it was very, very slow. So let's try to become like a flying duck rather than a rhinoceros. Michio Kaku, who was an American theoretical physicist, is already alerting us about a traffic jam around the moon. Please try to find out of Michio Kaku. Michio Kaku is an American physicist, and he is predicted, he's very sure that the technology will take us to the moon, like as you are traveling from, let's say, from Palakkad to Bangalore, or from Pune to Mumbai. So technology is going to really evolve in a big, big way. Already we're seeing about reusable SpaceX rockets, Tesla driverless cars. You are also experiencing holoprojection 3D models of people to be reconstructed, compressed, and transmitted. But here I'll take a pause. There may be many questions in your mind that why I'm talking about these examples in a class of values, about human values. But what happened? The next slide is very important. The pandemic took us back by 25 years in just 25 weeks. This pandemic of COVID-19 took the whole world back by 25 years in just 25 weeks. And it's very, very important. What actually didn't change were the HR values, the people values, which are the base of our sustenance and growth. You must have come across a lot of videos in WhatsApp in last 3 to 4 months time, 5 months of time about people being kind, people being compassionate. There are a lot of migrant laborers who really needed help. A lot of animals needed help. People became more empathetic. They took care of each other. People all united together in such a difficult time. And the compassion and empathy and kindness, these are some of the values which I described to you in the beginning, are like a fragrance. It's like it became a virtue. And all the human race globally, it became united in these 25 weeks when the economy fell down and health of people. We lost a lot of our people. Many people passed away, were really too young in age. Economy crashed. Nothing moved for almost 25 weeks now. We are surviving and things will be better. We're always difficult times, they pass by. And this time as well will pass by. I'll speak about Peter Fisk, one of the renowned, inspiring, insightful, and futuristic author, says growth is shifting, innovation is relentless, disruption is accelerating, expectations are high, and social tensions are rising. Very deep-rooted meaning. I'll request you to really think about it. And McKinsey, in their recent survey globally, told a very important sentence that trends are your friends. Different trends will come and, we'll have to live with these trends. So managing a high-touch climate will remain elusive. We talk about robots, chatbots. You heard about Alex, Alexa. We spoke about Sophia the robot. We have heard about many other chatbots and bots. When you operate a bank account, you always speak to a bots. So it becomes a very high-touch, high climate. And from technology, when it comes to high-touch climate remains very elusive. Our values remain very elusive. High touch, what I mean is actually emotions. The robots and the technology cannot have yet emotions. Human beings are the only animals who are actually bestowed with empathy, sympathy, and power of imagination. Some of the animals who have larger brains, like an elephant and other few animals, they empathize, but they can't imagine many things. Human beings as animal can imagine things. So high-touch climate of high empathy and high compassion is actually kind of translucent phase of reaffirming our own belief system. It is not digital. I heard Mr. Pritesh speaking about ethics. Ethics, actually, he described so nicely. I really admire. Ethics cannot be 75% ethical and 25% not being ethical. Ethics and values are either 0% or 100%. Can I say myself, I as Sadashi Party, I'm 28% not ethical. I'm a 72% ethical person, but I'm non-ethical to 28%. Can I say that? I can practice my values to 50%, but this value I can't practice for 50%. It's not like that. It's not a black and white. It is a bit of gray shade, and it is never a decimal point. Rather, always ethics and values will continue to evolve. Some of the things are my last few slides. I'll be on time. Elders, the people like me who are elders by age will continue to love high-touch human climate, HUMANE climate, humane climate, but cannot be prisoners of the past. When you meet your grandparents, the grandparents usually have the tendency to describe their past achievements. And the child, as a child, probably many of us, we get disillusioned. We as seniors in corporate, we can't say that we did the best in the world in our career. You people are smarter than us, and you can always be doing a reverse mentoring. The theory of reverse mentoring is almost a decade old. It is the students who are going to teach the bosses or the managers in the corporate. And we're experiencing those things. Same time, younger people, Generation Z, will continue to aspire for a high-tech digital world, but cannot be gladiators of the future. You know the word gladiator, the Chinese prince. If you can relate this to the story of the Chinese prince, you said that young, dynamic, restless, and highly aspirant student community cannot actually predict what is going to happen now. They cannot be gladiators of their future. This pandemic has really taught us a lot of good things. The seniors cannot be the prisoners of the past, and the young managers cannot be gladiators of their future. So, being human in a high-tech and high-touch digital world will matter the most. So when we speak about values, values are internal and innate. Same time, we cannot forget about the current circumstances of staying in a digital world. If you are not digital, almost now you are illiterate. You must know how to operate a few apps, a few languages in the computer. You must know how to coding, many things. So in the digital world, you have to also become high touch, be compassionate, be ethical, be empathical, and all the things. That's what the being human means. High touch is not about only speaking good things in a polite tone, proximity, and knowing inside out in details. Instead, high touch actually a lot to do with the empathy, compassion, and kindness. Simon Sinek, again, I'm quoting him, in one of his popular talks, you can find this video, Simon Sinek was describing about heart counts, HEART, heart count rather than head count. I found this video of Simon Sinek very learning. Please watch the video, hardly 3 to 4 minutes time, how we should really be very, full of empathy and compassion to our people in corporate. So as a student manager, I'll call you a manager, as a student manager, you please realize that it is not always the head count matter, it is always also the heart count matters. So values, you look at your value. Please, I always tell my people in my company, try to become a good human being and your chances of becoming a good manager is very high. But first become a good manager, good human being. So this is what I mean to say when I speak about the heart count, not the head count. It is extremely important for us to internalize overall aspects of people culture, which is like a mirage, People culture, best culture in the best of the world, actually like mirage. Once you reach there, the mirage actually again goes back to the horizon. You again try to run toward the horizon and the mirage, again the people culture shifts beyond your imagination. So in these 25 weeks, we experience the art and science of talent development, how to create good people around us. It is actually, and its base is always in the HR values. This is going to be my last slide, and I'm summarizing this one. And so the points we discussed, I shared with you till so far. Actually, discover yourself, story of the Chinese planes, choose your passion as your career, and be proactive. Spoke some examples about it, and don't lose time to chase your passion. Speed of time. We spoke about the example of the ducks. So do not procrastinate anything. Please try to achieve things in life early, as of yesterday. Don't wait for somebody to be telling you to achieve. Every day is actually lost time. The only thing one can't buy is time. Best of the best, richest people in the world, can they buy time? No, never. No one can buy time. So we're losing our each day. Please utilize your time. Please do not procrastinate in achieving career. This is one of the best values of life. Difficult times never last. Pandemic, COVID-19 took us back 25Y and 25W. 25 years where we went back globally in the world in just within 25 weeks. We talked also about the high-tech, hyper-connected world, how connected we are among the digital world, AI, VR, AR, how much we are digitized ourselves, but never leave your emotions and your high touch. Empathy and compassion are the best values of your life now. And pandemic has taught us very harsh way. So HR values actually are the expanding meaning of being human. If anybody asks me what are the HR values, I always describe that, am I a good human being? If I ask myself, look at the mirror and tell myself that yes, this is what actually is, and I'm being human. So that is the best thing that I can do to myself. So with this, I'll close this my slides, and I'll always thank you for your attention and interest. And now, of course, I'm speaking to you through a media, but my wish and my request to Ms. Bindu, Dr. Mahadevan, is that I wish to come to your place once just to see your beautiful campus. I have seen a lot of your YouTube videos and your, the kind of greenery, the kind of campus you have. I think amazing. It's simply amazing. And rightly, your campus has been called as a heritage village. And so thank you so much for your attention and interest. I'll stop sharing here, and I'm available in my LinkedIn. You can always contact me through in this way. And I'll go back and I'll close.
Thank you, Padi sir, for your informative session.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Actually, we have heard of high tech, and we were always chasing to be high tech. But I think in this rat race, we have lost touch with being human, or what are human values, or what is empathy. We have heard of empathy a lot. We know the definition of empathy, but we choose not to practice it because that is not getting us where we want to. It is not giving us any benefit, so why should we practice it? So maybe that, but we are not going back to maybe decades ago where all these things were practiced. So that is where the relevance of these sessions are. Otherwise, AICT has made it mandatory now that all the professional colleges should begin their session with universal human values, because somewhere down the line we are seeing it missing. And both of you have given us wonderful insight on professional ethics and human values. Now I open the session for the audience. If you have questions, you should have questions, because this is not a topic that is commonly spoken about. So please come forward. I'm sure that many of you have questions. Please come forward and ask your questions. I would suggest you can put your questions in the chat box and I can read it out, because we have huge number of participants, and if everybody starts unmuting themselves, it will be a chaos. So you can put your questions in the chat box for both Ratish, and I'm thankful that Ratish sir is patiently waiting here. I did not, I postponed both the question and answer session, his and Padis sir together. So I'm sorry, sir, we have kept you on hold for a long time. The questions for both Ratish sir and Padis sir can be put in the chat box, and please mention for which speaker your question is directed to. We are getting a lot of thank you messages. I'm waiting for the question. Or if...
Bindu, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, Dr. Bhatta, this is Mahadevan Pillai, Director of the Ahilya Group Institutions. We are very much thankful that you have joined us for this session, and we expect you to be our guest when you come out to Kerala next time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the invite. I would have definitely come to you. I mean, had you not invited me, I would have definitely been there. It's a beautiful place. A lot of good students, very young managers, and I think you're creating a wonderful place and you're making India proud. I must tell you that.
Thank you very much. And I'm thankful to my good friend, Engineer Radish, also for sparing his time with us. So both of you have made a very good presentation to our large audience. And in addition to the people who have heard directly, so many people are seeing it on the YouTube live also. So I think it's being recorded and being on the YouTube, people can see it later also. Thank you very much. Now we can face the questions from the audience, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahadevan sir, for acknowledging our guests. We are still waiting for the questions. Sir, I have a question to Ratish sir. Okay, yeah. So there is a question from Saumeshri of Ahilya School of Engineering and Technology. This question is directed to Ratish sir. So have you ever thought that technical knowledge can be considered superior to demonstrating ethics? So what she means is, like, if you have enough knowledge, do you really have to demonstrate ethics? Or is it okay if you don't demonstrate ethics and you have all riches and positions with you?
Okay. Thank you for that question. See, whatever knowledge or intellectual capacity you have, ultimately everything should be for the benefit of the society. That is what ethics is saying, is it not? So even if you are able to achieve the highest of the technical knowledge, everything should be, the benefit should be going to the society. So you gather more so that you can give more to the society. So that way, always, okay, the technical know-how that you are adding to your profession is always helpful to the society if you are ethical. If not, what happens? Whatever amount of knowledge, there was a famous quoting by knowledge without ethics is dreadful. No? So it's always good you are acquiring knowledge, but without ethics, it doesn't make any sense.
Thank you, sir.
Hope I have
that has answered. Hope that you have answered her question. And there is another question for Ratish sir. Why are the regulatory notes, that is the terms and conditions of the preambles, are not put open? It was a big failure giving an assignment on such. How can you say this? Okay, I am fine. There is another one. Okay, there is another one for open for both the speakers. Even though we are aware about the code of ethics to be followed in any profession, but sometimes institutions or firms itself make situations to violate all those. What is your take on it? It is for both the speakers. I think first we will go to Ratish sir and then to Padi sir. Ratish sir, can you hear me?
Definitely, I can hear
Okay.
you. I'm just trying to understand the question once again. Even though we are aware about the codes of ethics to be followed by in any profession, but sometimes institutions or firms itself make situations to violate all those. What is your take on it? Okay, see, sometimes this may happen. Like maybe if it is a company or if you're working in an education institution, people are or industry corners are there, which may force you to violate those things. Okay, but what is important is with your value system, you can always be independent. Okay, worst come worst, I told you that may result in some kind of displeasure or some kind of transfer or some kind of posting in significant posting or all those things. But it is always you can always be proud that okay, for the sake of your self-respect, for the sake of your value system, for the sake of your own dignity, you are sacrificing. That gives you the enough strength. So if you have got that, then okay, people may not sometimes even attempt to do that also, because even if that you're transferring that fellow, you will go there. So let us not do that, because such kind of vested interest can always happen in the society. Okay, the institutions sometimes have a very nice all those code of ethics and everything. Sometimes maybe for the sake of their corporate interest or whatever, sometimes they may force you. But the thing is that you can always try to defer. Sometimes you may have to quit the job also. Sometimes. Okay. So if you honor or respect your value system and ethics, then okay, you have to pay a price. Like rightly pointed out by Dr. Pade, you cannot be 20% unethical and 80% ethical. No, there is no such thing. You always have to continue with your singular policy of being ethical. Always you may have to sometimes give a price. Okay.
Thank you, sir. And Hingston Saviour's question over to you, Padi sir. The same
Please.
question, he's open to both of you. Maybe we would like to hear your take also on that.
Exactly.
Like I was telling earlier, I completely agree with this. My only additional point will be ethics is actually virtue, and whatever circumstances we sail through, difficult time, and even also if someone is asked to or instructed to follow an unethical path, it depends upon the situation, circumstances, but entirely on the person who actually instructed to follow an unethical path. Unethical path is actually that those things they can never exist. The truth will prevail in a day, in a week, in a month, or in a year. Things
We are unable to hear you. Your voice is breaking, sir.
I think there's something else is happening. Somebody has kept his mic. I think Ashraf Ali, if you can mute yourself, I think able to hear. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say, the truth prevails always. Ethics prevail always. Sorry, I was in mute. Sorry, I was mute. My mistake. So what I'm saying, I agree completely with Ritesh sir. He described it nicely. But in the corporate world, what happens? Ethical practices are always like daylight. They're the truth. and the truth will always come out in a day or in a month or in a year. Truth cannot be suppressed. Ethical practices cannot be suppressed. Whatever you try to do that. You look at the global unethical practices, big organizations. $1,000 billion organizations went down the drain. And we know about so many organizations who were in India. They started many big projects in power and dams. And where are they? Many huge shopping giants in the globally in the world, they vanished because they adopted unethical practices. I can't name them because they're very big giants in the public forum, but you know, something starts with E and something starts with W. These people have vanished. So ethical practices are like daylight, they have to be followed and entirely depending on the person. A person's right virtue would never be unethical. You can't face yourself, look at the mirror and tell yourself that yes, I did the right thing if you've done a blunder and or obeyed an instruction which is really wrong. So I completely agree with Ritesh. It is a very different world now. We are socially connected, digitally connected. We can't be unethical and remain, elusive or run away from the truth. The truth will prevail always.
Yeah, truth triumphs. Thank you very much for that.
Now you're in mute. Now you are mute, so please unmute yourself.
Yes. So everybody can be wrong.
Yes, we are human beings.
So,
Yeah.
how should Akhilesh Shiva has asked, how should we decide in an ethical situation? He has not mentioned which speaker he has directed this question to. I think it is open to both of you. How should we decide on ethical dilemma situation? If we know there are 2 or 3 options, how do we decide on what should we do or which option should we pick?
Can I go sir first? Can I speak? Yeah.
Please.
I was employed with an American multinational company for almost 12 years as director HR, and ethics was being one of the primary things because that organization was supplying to US space research and US Army. So any supplier to those people, if they adopt any unethical practices, they describe this situation, like this, to answer this question, they described an unethical situation in a very simplistic manner, very simple. And a situation or a work can be termed unethical if you can't describe that thing to your grandmother and your mother. You understand what I'm saying? Otherwise, we believe in our mothers and grandmothers, but if my achievement, if I can't describe or my work, I cannot speak to my grandmother truthfully, that is unethical. I'm supposed not to lie. Lying to my grandmother will be a crime. So they described any unethical practice very simply, saying that the work or the situation which cannot be described to your grandmother and your parents is actually unethical.
That was a lovely explanation, sir, because I don't think usually we use ethical theories to explain this question, but you have done it in a much more simpler manner that everybody understands. Thank you very much. And Ritesh sir, would you want to add on to it?
Okay, for those people who are familiar to the typical problem solving and all, as I have pointed in my session, you can use, there can be ethical dilemmas happening. You can use all these theories and maybe come up with some alternative solutions. Okay, next what you can do is you can weigh the pros and cons of those decisions. And then, even then, if you are not satisfied, you can always consult some good seniors or your gurus who may be of help. For the beginners, only I am telling this, but for others, from their experience, as rightly pointed by Dr. Pade, they will be able to identify or come up with the right solution with that kind of tips, what you have given. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, sir. And there is another question. What are the other criteria to, apart from ethics and value, what are the other criteria to increase the human behavior? This is this question is from Shafina Eki. Again, I think it is open for both the speakers.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir, please go ahead. What are the other criteria to increase, apart from ethics and values, what are the other criteria to increase the human behavior?
Can I see, the human behavior is always contextual. I behave in a way depending upon the context. Human beings are always in a situation, in the mode to excel in any given situation, be a small baby to a student to a manager. We always try to become popular. We always try to become the right person in the context. So behavior are contextual. So beyond ethics and values, one has to realize oneself that whatever am I doing for the benefit of others and myself, is it the right thing I'm doing? If I give an example again, if I spend my time among the good students, the brilliant of the students in the class, if I spend my time with them, the chances are very high that I also can follow, I also can become a brilliant student in a few months of time. But if I spend or waste my time with some of the outsiders and spending or wasting my time in watching movies and whatnot, then chances are that my behavior, my language, my everything will change to that, befitting to that context. So it is like a situation where I can describe that each person, each one of us actually is 1/5 of the average of 5 people. That means I'm average of 5 people I spend my conscious time with. You understand what I'm saying? I'm the 1/5 of the behavior of the people I spend maximum of my conscious time. So beyond ethics and values, one is to learn with whom you're spending and investing your time with. And behavior are definitely going to be influenced by that context. You can experiment it out. You can go to a bus stand, you can go to a rickshaw stand, spend 2 hours with them, and definitely your language and behavior will get influenced in the situation. You go to library, you spend some time with the bright students who are studying hard, and chances are very high that your behavior will be like those students for a few hours at least. We can't change our behavior. We can learn behavior by practice only. I hope I replied to the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And Rafi sir, what is your take on that, sir?
Yes, nothing else to add. See, your environment and your circle, everything influences your good behavior. And the key principle is that, okay, if you feel these things are not acceptable or nice to me, don't do that. And be good at whatever you're doing. Then your behavior will be always constantly improving. Try to be in a good circle. Definitely, I told you, whatever values I have is because of the exposure to good parents, teachers, friends, and relatives who have contributed the formation of my character. Okay, now nothing can influence me. And as age continues, what happens is that you will be earning a lot of wisdom.
So you're on.
Or nothing. Okay, no ethical confusion or dilemma will be there. The solution will be straight away coming to you. Likewise, in your behavior also, once you get exposure to the right kind of environment and people, then that adds value to you day by day. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And it's actually you are as good as the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Surround yourself with people who practice ethics, and then you will become that. Thank you, sir. And there is another question. I know this is a kind of an HR-related question. How can we justify job losses in the pandemic, and who is it to be blamed? I think it is directly for Padi, sir.
Yeah, I found it. I was waiting for such a question because, see, whenever I try to speak about such important topic, but what bothers the students and bothers the community, we must be mindful of. Because as a student, we also are not very sure whether I could get a good break or get a good job. If I get a good job, then if I lose it. And to answer to it, I have a very simple reply. See, loss of job in India is like a capital punishment. My family members won't realize that why did I lose my job? People in the society who had to stay, my relatives will always feel that I have done something wrong in my company, my organization, hence I lost my job. Even though I try to prove myself that I'm innocent, but society will not look at me as a very innocent person because simply I lost my job, whatever the reason may be. This is the kind of Indian culture that we have been living with. We are not like Western community or the Southeast Asia where there's pink slip and there's a social security. So the emotions behind these questions actually is something different. Probably I'm listening to what he has not asked directly. He said that why at all people should lose job and who is actually separating them. I give again an example from my company. The moment the pandemic hit and our business affected, I spoke to my MD and my chairman very simply that if anyone to be separated, to be going out from my company, it has to be me first. I'll first go out. I'll put my paper down, and because you will save more money by separating me rather than any poor fellow down the line. So not a single person will lose job in this pandemic. This is my personal values and ethics, and that was well respected. And probably not a single, probably we didn't get our increment and etc. etc. But we never separated a single even labor or even single senior person. The leader has to take the bullet on the chest. The captain of the ship has to first get himself, he has to ensure that people are safe. And then captain of the ship has to go down the ocean. He'll sacrifice the life. So it depends on the culture and the person who's at the apex of the affair about separating the group. So when the job losses happen, it is the management, the senior people in the organization who are responsible for the job losses. It's not this thing. So I recommend you to watch the video from Simon Sinek when he says people, in order to earn their fat bonus and incentive, sacrifice people. Better they sacrifice their incentive rather to retain their people, but they do not do that. So to answer straight, it's the management of the organization, senior people are responsible for the job losses. I hope I replied.
Yes, so you have replied, and then I think similar question was running in many minds. Many have lost jobs, and there was, so, like as you said, there were their promotions, their pay hike, everything is at stake. So this has answered most of our confusions, and then you cannot blame the management also for this, because the situation is such that it will take some time for everyone to stand on their feet. So I think like us, even management is also facing their problems. So thank you for answering that question. And here, there is another question from Kiran Ravindran. He has asked, why is the whistleblower system in India not as strong as in the US? Is that why people are not confident to bring out issues in Indian companies? Or it is just that companies are not willing to? This is for both of you, sir. I think we have whistleblower system is quite dull in both the sectors, even in public sector and private sector, it does not happen. People who have money and authority decides or dictates what has to be done. It is not, and we want to know, will it ever come in India? This question is open to both of you.
So probably you can start, Dr. Padey, with the private sector. Then I will supplement with my answer on the public sector.
See, private sectors and multinational companies, we do have ethics hotline, whistleblowers policy, whistleblower posters, whistleblower, the anonymous links that people can report, and many things that which goes anonymous to report about anything unethical that is happening. To answer the question that why it is not happening in India compared to other countries, actually is partially true and partially untrue, because in many of the good companies, have you seen some of the best of the successful companies in the country? They are not into the businesses of tobacco, alcohol, etc. They've been there for almost more than 100 years or 150 years. Some big names, they rather suffer, but they will not enter to the business of alcohol, tobacco, other things like that. So it is in the culture, it is in the air. So you don't really need showcasing the ethical hotlines and whistleblower posters. I was employed in the American MNC where I used to really click the picture. I had to take a picture of the whistleblower poster every month. That all the posters have been displayed throughout the offices and factories, and they were requiring the documental evidences that if you display the whistleblower poster, that time what will happen that you are following a really good ethical practice and everything is hunky-dory. But at the same time, some of the Indian organizations have never showcased their practices and culture, but they are the best in their ethical practices. So, you know the names. I think some of the very old houses in the country who are the fifth or sixth generations, they remain very ethical. There's no need for actually showing what they do. Some of the big houses, they separated very, very top senior people, and 25 years back, which I've heard of, because some of the senior people, they violated their ethical norms in settling or claiming their travel allowances. This happened 25 years back in the country in India with an Indian company. So that time whistleblower posters were not there. They were not popular, but they practiced. But actually needed is something better to have rather than not to have the posters and a good system. So my take on that will be actually the air, it's the culture, and really you can't distinguish between whether to have a posters and policies. But if you practice it, then it's enough. It should be the culture.
Thank you, sir. So it is not what is written, it is how well you understand and how well you put it in practice is what's more important than a code of ethics as such. Saratish, sir, we are moving on.
Okay, coming to the public sector, what's happening is it's somewhat again subjective. No, for example, if one person is on this either in the ombudsman or in the vigilance or in the regulatory body and all, if they are honest and they are ethical, they are actually really delivering. For example, you take the case of Election Commissioner T.N. Seshan. What is happening to the election scenario of India? And in the case of Kerala Vigilance, the Dr. Engineer Mannadiyar, he was actually a terror to all those people who were doing unethical practices. So that is somewhat again subjective. And again, what is happening is whatever deterioration has happened in the society is happening to these kind of people also. Further, the posting is again made sometimes political, or the political bosses are appointing them, either the ombudsman or the central vigilance commissioner or the election commissioner or even the justice, all those things. So what happens then? See, these people, because of the poor value system, may be compromising, or the whistle is not blown at all. So all those things are happening in the private sector. I think there should be very, very stringent selection procedures, and people with value and character only should be in such places, which will definitely make a difference and can be as strong and robust as even better than US. Okay.
Thank you, sir. And I think the younger generation who are here will be able to bring about change. Whatever the previous generation has forgotten, I think these people will practice and make our country a better place to live. And I still love my country. I think it should be a little more better so that it gives equal opportunity for everyone. And let me see if there are any more questions. The feedback form has already been shared in the chat box. Deepti K has a question. Can economic policy conducted in accordance with the principles of ethics and high moral standards be the basis for country's economic success? So Deepti wanted to know if economic policies can make a difference. And if it is done in an ethical manner, will that affect the country's economic success? Policies, if done in an ethical manner. I think it is open for both. She has not mentioned who it is directed to.
Yes,
It's for both the
from the
speakers. Yeah.
corporate side, please.
But-
A very good question and with a very deep and large meaning. And I compliment Dipti for asking this question. The question is very simple and straight. Can economic policy conducted in accordance with the principles of ethics and high moral be the basis for country's economic success? And then how? I think we need to have conducted another webinar to answer this question. It's very, very deep question. Dipti, please pardon me for what I'm saying, but you can always connect. See, we're speaking about the very basic mundane ethics that are starting in our own, with ourselves and the society. We're a very large country of 1.2 billion people, and human minds are very dynamic. So this should be an ideal situations are many, but it doesn't. The statistics prove that there are diverse opinion about the same. So my personal take from the corporate side would be that if we look at ourselves first, we make our own place, like again I'm repeating, fragrant with ethical behavior, there is enough for us. Many people are there to take care of the country's economy, and we're very small fry, but we make a difference. In a dark room, a candlelight makes a difference. So can I be candlelight for my own situation, my own context, to become a real good ethical practitioner to change my own economy first. So if I can create hundreds and thousands of Diptis, I think situation will change, situation will improve. So maybe we can connect later about this, because many people are leaving now, so I think we'll discuss about it.
Thank you, sir. And Ratish, sir, would you like to add on to this question?
Okay, my answer to this is, of course, it's always possible for a country to go by ethical means and to see that, okay, the country is economically developing. There are empty number of ways and means to do that. Of course, that depends on the political leaders and the planners who are doing that, but enough to do. So kindly look at this question in a different session, because a lot of things to be discussed more. But it's on the outside, it's possible straight away. Okay, if there is a will, there is a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And there are a few more questions in this, but it's already 6:30. I'm sure that both the speakers have other assignments also. I know that you have other meetings coming up, which is scheduled already for the day. I'll take one more question from this, and then we can move on to the vote of thanks. So there is a question from Mr. Prakash Nair. He asked, does organization culture differ with the CEO culture in the organization? There are many more questions, but then I think we will stop with this.
Yeah. I think, yes, it's question to me probably. Is it so?
Yes.
Yes,
please.
I think it is mainly directed to you, sir.
I give a very crisp reply, again, which can be remembered and recollected afterwards. Like the CEO or the MD of the organization actually is like a parent of the home, of a clan. And many times what happens as children, we follow the elders and we always try to learn. We learn from our parents, we learn from our school teacher, we learn from our professors, then we learn from our first boss, the manager with whom I work first in my life and career. So this kind of things, or the culture, I tend to believe the more and more we get educated, the more and more we are made to realize by seniors what not to do. Always parents guide the child, the teachers guide the child, the bosses guide the child, the professors guide the student, what not to do. But it depends upon us what to do. I must learn what to do. There's a big difference between what not to do and what to do. In my personal culture, my personal behavior, and where I can contribute to the culture of the organization, culture is a very, very abstract thing. You and me, we make a culture. How we behave, how we respond to a telephone to an outsider. Let's say parent is calling to the reception of Ahlia University. How she is responding to the parent who their child is not very well or sick somewhere. That is a part of culture. That is culture. Culture is nothing very, very abstract. How I respond to my customers in my behavior, in my own, whether I walk my talk. So these kind of things actually make a culture. So to come to the question state, CEO actually the way they behave actually influences many ways to the culture. But I also tell you that if the CEO is the head head of the organization, there is the HEAD, head of the organization, the HR head is the heart of the organization. The HR head is the mirror to the CEO. The HR is like a motherly figure supporting the parent in all the difficult times. So I'm not saying the only HR manager, I'm saying all of us are HR managers. Any senior person, head of departments are the real HR heads. HR department is actually only a facilitator, nothing else. All of us, all our professors, we are the HR. We are the people who create a culture. So CEO influences us, but we are there to support the CEO or go and guide the CEO, make the CEO learn about the culture. So depends upon the circumstances. So, but to reply, yes, the CEO defines the culture of the organization in very large extent.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And Ratish sir, in public
Yes.
sector, who actually can bring about change in such a
Okay.
context?
Yes, definitely. I fully agree with Dr. Padey because there is a famous saying that, okay, the leader is one who knows the way, shows the way, goes the way and shows the way. So if the leader is highly ethical, definitely he'll be able to influence and he can definitely make changes. Because I have a number of occasions wherein I have to work with both good leaders and sometimes poor leaders. And I have seen the difference. For example, in the World Bank project, there was a good executive director from the IAS who was actually driving all of us with all kinds of ethical principles and values at the same time, seeing that there is turnaround happening to that organization. Okay, and the other way around also I have seen people without values somehow they are coming to the top and leading us in the wrong way. And sometimes you may have to take a transfer and maybe in fact I went on deputation, to be honest, because there is no point in being there and fighting without any productivity. Okay, it just went on almost for 10 years. I went on deputation. Okay, one can say that okay, it is escapism, but okay, if you cannot serve the purpose, you be there and with all your values, if you are not able to perform, then okay, it makes sense. Like quitting your job. Okay, since I was in the government service, I was able to find a deputation. So always the leader can influence and definitely make a lot of changes in the organization.
Thank you, sir. I think more than the PowerPoints and all that, this question answer session has given life to our seminar. Thank you, both of you, for sharing your personal experiences with us. And now I will move on to the vote of thanks. I request Jitin Pulikot, a student of Ahalya School of Management, to come forward and propose the vote of thanks. Jitin, are you here?
Yes,
Jitin,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, all students, respected lecturers, professors, and all staffs, a very good evening to all. It gives an immense pleasure for me to deliver the vote of thanks for the national online seminar conducted on the topic and to all dignitaries on professional ethics and HR values. I would like to thank our chief guest, firstly, Mr. S. Ratish, former Chief Engineer, Kerala Water Authority, who had shared his wonderful experiences and thoughts and takes on professional ethics. And then Dr. Sadish Pade, CHRO and VP, HR and IT, Kirloskar Company Limited, Pneumatic Company Limited, on sharing his insights on career approach and all those wonderful stories what he has shared with us. And his topic was on the new normal in talent development, high tech and high touch. Okay, and it was followed by a wonderful question and answers. And nextly, I would like to thank our beloved people from Ahalya Group of Academic Institutions. Firstly, Dr. P.R. Mahadan Pillai, our beloved director, Ahalya's Group of Academic Institutions. Then Principal, Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology. Then Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore, Assistant Director, Ahalya Group of Institutions. Then Mr. Sri Kumar, HR Manager, Ahalya Group of Academic Institutions. He's the key person. Without him, this seminar wouldn't have been possible. He's the person responsible for connecting us with Dr. Sadashiv Padi. And then the students and faculty of Ahalya Group of Academic Institutions, IT department for providing technical support in hosting this session, Ahalya Group, and operation manager and all staff who rendered their support, Ahalya Group. A special thanks to IT and operations department, Ahalya Group of Academic Institutions, for their technical and all other supports. All participants who have joined in Google Meet and who are watching in YouTube Live, and all volunteers, coordinators, and last but not least, the audience, our beloved audience, for making this online seminar a very grand success. Once again, I thank one and all present here. Thank you. Have a great evening and stay blessed.
Thank you, Jitin. And I know the official vote of thanks is done, but then from my side, I would like to thank Dr. P.R. Sri Mahadevan Pillai, Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore, for their immense support, because whenever we go to them for to do anything, they are always there to support us. They give us that boost. Yes, you can do it. That is how we are. When we started the initial webinar, it was only participant of 50 people. Now we have more than 800 registrations. And that itself proves that we have a strong support system here, and our leadership is really giving us the boost to perform. Thank you. And I'm so thankful to the student volunteers, Ajmal Farhan and Swapna Radhakrishnan. Unfortunately, I feel very sad for Swapna, because she has prepared for 2-3 days. And she has written an introduction about Ratish sir, she has practiced and she has recorded, but unfortunately, the internet gave away. And I thank Jitin also for supporting. And there is another group of students who have come forward and said that, ma'am, you organize, we are there to back you. And all the faculty members and students of Ahalya Group of Academic Institutions for their immense support in all the activities that we have conducted till now, and looking forward for your continuing support. Thank you very much. And my heartfelt thanks to Sadashiv sir and Ratish sir for taking your time to come here and speak to our students and us. And when I spoke to both of you about both of you to the students, I said, these are the people who understand your minds. Both of you understand student minds. That is what we need. It is not, you're not talking from your level of knowledge. You are coming down, you've spoken to them the way they can comprehend you. So thank you very much for that. So I think we can call a day off. And Sri Kumar sir, yes, you are the man. Thank you. You are the one who actually connected us to Hadi sir, and Mahadevan sir was the one who connected me to Ratish sir. Thank you very much to both of you. Thank you. Oh, yes,
yeah,
yes.
On a personal note, I think Padi Sab spoke to us about the speed of time. You know, what he has done, the Ratish sir have done is they've compressed 34, 40 years of experience into 2 hours. So let's all be grateful for that. And it's not easy, let me tell you, giving such simple, complex ideas in a simple way. Okay, so, and Padi sir, the moment I called him, I asked him, he said, when you ask me, can I refuse? So that is how humble he is, though he's reached such a high position. So I'm really grateful, Padi sir, for really joining us today, and we made it really enjoyable, and it was really terrific, I tell you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you certainly, I can't say no to you, so I had to say yes. And this busy well. And I give the opportunity for me to really know many things. I heard about such a beautiful session about ethics, and we all coordinated this beautiful, large institution. That's why I say you all are making India proud. All of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes,
sir.
thank you. Thank you, Akila, for the great initiative that we are done by dissemination of this kind of knowledge to the budding engineers. And thank you, Dr. Pade, for giving us such an informative session. Glad to meet you, at least over through this
With me.
web.
I learned a lot from you today. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So thank you all participants. I think we'll call it a day now.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Bye. Thank you so much. See you.